across the globe. My name is Jose Ramos Jr. Welcome back to another edition of the J Area Wrestling Show. Long time no see, says Alex here in the chat. Love to see everybody back there. Sylvia as well, what's going on? I'm glad to see everybody here back on another live stream, another opportunity for us to hang out and talk about what's going on in the wacky, wonderful world of professional wrestling. It has felt like a while there. We didn't go live on Sunday, but we're back here on a Thursday, being able to reconnect and dive in not only in terms of what's going on in the WWE, but we're now just days away from Backlash, the latest premium live event the WWE has to offer. And the main event of that show will be John Cena defending his WWE Championship against Randy Orton. Long time rivals. These are two guys that have been connected, for the lack of a better term, for 20 plus years. They came in together at Ohio Valley Wrestling back in the year 2000 as they were a part of the developmental brand leading in to WWE's main roster. They've had countless matches stemming all the way from their rivalry in 2007. They had another run-in 2008, 2009, and for a lot of people, these two were the defining individuals of that era in pro wrestling. And now we get to see it one last time. That's the way they're advertising it. You already know the WWE loves to do their branding one last time. Randy Orton, John Cena. Sound off in the chat if you think Cena retains or if Randy Orton gets the victory and becomes a 15-time WWE champion. But you see the title of the video. We're talking about John Cena. 17 times he has won the World Championship, beating Ric Flair's record. It's something that we've been talking about ad nauseum for the last couple of months since he won the Elimination Chamber match and obviously winning the WWE title against Cody Rhodes, who we haven't seen since WrestleMania 41. But I wanted to take this opportunity, open it up to you guys in the chat, and have you guys share some of your favorite memories or favorite matches in regards to John Cena and his title reigns. With 17 times that he's won the title, there is an abundance of options to go with in terms of which one's the best. He's won the title 17 times. So those are 17 times that he's had matches that result in him earning that distinction. Some that immediately come to my mind are matches against JBL, Edge, Batista, Randy Orton, CM Punk. There are so many to count from here, and I want to hear from you guys in the chat below. Let me know. Cena in the chat here says, heel Cena isn't the best, just meh so far. No mention of joining The Rock. Cena retains. That is one issue that I have to agree with. The lack of mentioning of The Rock. And I know it's not something that we should rely on. You know, we should have John Cena being the focal point of this title run. But when you talk about how monumental that heel turn was at Elimination Chamber, and it was such a moment because The Rock gives the signal to Cena. You know, Cena, again, in return, has a facial expression, something that I thought I would never have seen, and it caused me to gasp. And having him turn heel and standing side by side with The Rock and Travis Scott. And not following up on that. We've had one name drop of The Rock since that heel turn. And it was something along the lines of John Cena telling Cody that you wouldn't sell your soul to The Rock. And that was pretty much it. It was a blink and you miss it. I wouldn't blame anybody if they missed that line. Aside from that, we haven't had any type of any response in terms of The Rock being the reason that Cena turned heel. So I get that. I think that's very valid in terms of a complaint regarding the heel turn. I think it's valid. Peter Parker, what's going on? Kent, hello. John Cena and Peter Parker agree Cena wins again. How's it going? It's going well. Can't complain. You know, we've been keeping busy, working the day job, but we're here now on YouTube talking about John Cena and the WWE Championship. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you all are doing well. It is an early edition of the stream here in May, which reminds me we have an opportunity here to give away some memberships every month. YouTube allows us the opportunity to gift some memberships here where you're going to get access to first viewing of the videos. You'll be the first ones to watch the videos as they get uploaded, exclusive polls, exclusive posts, as well as shout outs and obviously the icon that shows how long you've been a member. You can see Alex and Sylvia have the United States Championship, signifying how many months they've been a part of the main event Mafia. So shout out to them as well. Hopefully everyone's doing okay. Everyone's doing well. Right now, the NBA playoffs are going on. I will confess, I do have the Warriors playing off in the background. You may be able to hear them in the back. Currently down by 12 points, but it's still the middle of the third quarter. I'm not giving up just yet. John Cena says favorite is Cena going / drafted Raw when he had that orange basketball jersey. That was height Cena for me. That was such a great moment. I mean, well, it was bittersweet, I will say, because growing up I was a SmackDown kid, and so to see Cena move from SmackDown to Raw, it felt like it was a sports team losing their best player. So I remember as a fan seeing Cena go over to Monday Night Raw and kind of like being, wow, like great moment. Like you said, all time moment in terms of hype. But as a SmackDown fan, it's like, wow, like we just lost the franchise, you know? But a great moment. He makes his debut on Monday Night Raw during the highlight reel, with Chris Jericho. Christian was also there. He was involved, and they had a match at Vengeance 2005, a triple threat match that involved all three men in that world title. A great moment there. But when it comes to the championship opportunities, for the championship opportunities that Cena has had, his very first one was against JBL, WrestleMania 21. I'm not going to get too far into detail because I've already talked about it at so much. You guys already know how I feel about WrestleMania 21. It is one of my favorite manias. Having Cena go over, I thought was fantastic. It was a dawn of a new era. At that point, I don't know if anybody saw what was to come for John. Aside from that, John Cena would hold that title from 2005 all the way to January of 06, where he would be the very first individual to suffer from a cash in via Money in the Bank. Edge would do so, get the championship. Let me know in the chat below if you remember the Edge versus John Cena feud and what was your favorite matchup between the two. I personally would have to go with the TLC match at Unforgiven 2006, where John Cena won the title back. It would be for the second reign. Oh, no, third. It would actually be the third reign that John Cena would win that title. A classic TLC match that took place in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, I might add. And I will say that run in 2006, when John Cena won, he beat Edge, of course. I think that has the argument to be his best run as champion. He held the title for about a year. I believe it was a little over a year. And in that feud, in that run, he had matches against Edge. He had matches against Umaga at New Year's Revolution. The Royal Rumble last man standing match between he and Umaga, I still think holds up to this day. He had Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23. The great fatal four-way that involved Randy Orton, Edge, and Shawn Michaels at Backlash 2007. He even got a decent showing out of the Great Khali. He had a good matchup against Bobby Lashley at the Great American Bash in July of 07. SummerSlam 07, he fought against Randy Orton, and they would run it back at Unforgiven 2007. I think there was a lot that we saw from that run in 2007 because it was the growth and the maturity of John Cena. From 2005 and 2006, we still kind of saw the early remnants of John Cena, the doctor of thugonomics. But once he got the Marine out in theaters and he had this level of trust and responsibility bestowed upon him in late 2007, or late 2006, early 2007, we saw growth in John. And I think that's really where he began to separate himself from a Randy Orton, from a Batista, in terms of being that face of the company. I think it's his best run. I see Kent here says, my favorite three feuds he was in was Randy, number one, and then two, Cena, three, Nexus. I mean, again, all great feuds in their own right. And there's just so many, there's so many things to talk about. With a long and illustrious career like that, of course Randy has to be number one. I maybe not, well, as I said that, I immediately thought about Edge, Punk. Those two immediately come to my mind. I think I might put Edge, honestly. I love Randy, him against Cena, but I think I might put Edge. John Cena says, I'll be honest, wanted to see Matt return against Edge, then seeing Edge versus Cena. But it's like okay, is that for 2005? Because they had their run in '05 between Matt and Edge. What's going on, Muhammad? Says, I hope you're doing well. Same with everybody here. Hope you're doing well as well, Muhammad. Thank you for joining us. Ken says, I meant to CM Punk. That's what I thought. Once I read Cena, I was like, wait, I think that might have been a autocorrect or some kind of mistake there. Punk for sure. The Nexus one's tough for me, Kent, because I just feel like what really did it for me was at SummerSlam 2010 when Team WWE went over, they beat the Nexus in the very first matchup. It immediately, for me at least, diminished their credibility. I feel like the Nexus really needed that win. Sorry for misspeaking. It's no problem. We all do it, Ken. No worries. No worries. Um, I think for that number 3 spot, I think that's where I would put Randy. I think 1 would be Edge, 2 Punk, and then Randy, for me personally. But again, it's your list, and you're entitled to it. I appreciate the input. The Nexus had a lot of potential, though. I will say. Carlito, wow, that's a deep cut. Number 3 with Carlito, that's a deep cut. That goes all the way back to 2004 when Carlito and Cena had feuded over the United States Championship. Funny enough, for people who may not remember, or maybe they're too young, in 2004, Carlito makes his debut. He faces off against John Cena. He wins the United States Championship. I can feel the sneeze coming in. Maybe it's not going to be there. But there's a moment there where Cena is taken out of commission. He's attacked. And they're saying that he was attacked at a nightclub via a stabbing. And that the culprit was Jesus, the individual who was the bodyguard for Carlito. And what I think is interesting is the way they wrote him off was the stabbing, but it was because he was filming The Marine at that point. So a little fun fact there. Carlito was the only reason for the U.S. reign, which elevated Cena. I mean, you can make the argument Booker T was involved too. Because Booker T was the one that John Cena was feuding with over in the summer of 2004 or before Carlito. They had that best of 5 series that started at SummerSlam and culminated at No Mercy. But I do remember that feud of Carlito versus Cena. I have fond memories about that one. Obviously, again, SmackDown kid, wearing the SmackDown blue. So I do have fond memories of that. Shout out to the hunt. I see the hundreds and the hearts. Appreciate that. When he and Lesnar was going to face in OVW was nice, but neither was into what they became yet. And isn't that crazy too that OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, we really saw the early days of a Shelton Benjamin, of a Brock Lesnar, Randy, John Cena, Batista, and like again, like you said, they weren't who they were yet. And going down into the future and seeing who they became. That's why I love keeping up with the developmental and seeing where all these people are at. Because you never know who's going to be breaking away and becoming the next face. I mean, that's why we watch NXT. That's why we try to watch Evolve. I try to keep up with Evolve, but it's a lot of stuff, man. Like, let's be real. Between AEW, WWE, TNA, all the indies, like, there's a lot of content out there. Thankfully, with the advent of social media, it's an opportunity to keep up to date with a lot of the stuff going on. But can you imagine if we would have had social media back then for OVW, seeing guys like Brock, Cena, etc.? I would love to see what would have been the public perception of each of these individuals. We're going to go ahead and give away our first set of memberships here for the month of May. Every month, YouTube is gracious enough to give us this opportunity to gift memberships. Again, if you are a part of the memberships, you get early access to every video that is uploaded. You get exclusive polls and posts on the community tab, as well as exclusive shout outs. And you also get that custom icon that shows how long you've been a member of the Main Event Mafia. Ken says, surprised to see people from LFG already being on NXT. You know what? That makes more sense to me because you want to get familiarity. You want people to get invested in them. You want to see people develop a connection with these young stars. Wasn't a fan of Batista versus Cena. It wasn't bad, but there wasn't enough. I think there could have been more build. I think in 2008, that's the feud I'm going with first. They really were just honing in on the fact that it was two huge stars. They were the World Tag Champions for like what, a day, maybe a week, if I'm not mistaken. I just felt like there was a lack of a build, and it was more so relying on the name value of each individual. But the match at SummerSlam 2008, I thought it was fine. It's remembered for being the match that Cena got injured, and then when it came to their 2010 feud, I think they kicked it up a notch with the Last Man Standing and the I Quit match. So I'm not gonna pretend like it was the greatest thing, but I thought it was fine. And it was cool to see again the two rising stars that came out of WrestleMania 21 do battle years later in their primes. We're gonna send out 5 here, exclusive 5 memberships. Again, if you're a member, you get exclusive access to early videos as well as the exclusive posts and polls. So we're gonna give away the first 5 new members to the Main Event Mafia. Immediately, we're seeing Shy Guy 35, Erica Gibson, Gianna, Forever, You Are Cozy, and Grizzly. Welcome to the Main Event Mafia. Hopefully, you guys enjoy being a part of the Main Event Mafia and will stay with us as well. Ken says, and the ones that got sent home first was the first to join NXT and be involved in a stable. Again, and it's like, that's my biggest thing. Unfortunately, I don't have access to A&E. You know, we over here have YouTube TV, and it doesn't carry A&E. So I have to resolve to like Twitter and YouTube, the clips there. So it's like I don't even know what's going on in LFG, unfortunately. I'd probably have to wait until maybe months later when like Hulu or maybe the Peacock end up airing it on their streaming services. And by then I know who wins. So if anything, you guys are the ones that keep me the most informed when it comes to LFG. Thanks for the membership. Hey, no worries, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate you guys supporting and continuing to appear on the streams, watching the videos, liking the videos, commenting down below. All the support is appreciated. This wouldn't be possible without you guys. So at any point, if I have that opportunity to, you know, gift memberships like that, come on. It's the least I can do. Does Roku have LFG? I don't know. I don't know. Good question. I'd have to look it up. What's the topic for today? We're talking John Cena, 17-time champion. What was his best title reign? What were some of his best moments as champion? He has now Randy Orton in his crosshairs. Backlash 2025, St. Louis, Missouri, the latest premium live event for John Cena. Also going to be the last time that we see him against Randy Orton. They're advertising it as last time ever, or one last time. Who do you guys have, John Cena or Randy Orton? The topic of today's live stream again, John Cena and his title reigns. What was his best one? I think personally, it's his 2006 2007 run, where he won the title at Unforgiven 06, but had to relinquish that title due to a torn pec in the fall of 2007. But I want to hear from you guys in the chat. Let me know, what was your favorite John Cena match, or just a favorite title reign of his out of the 17 times that he's won. Kent comes back into the chat, says, what was weird? He was in NXT before he was cut from LFG's show, but didn't show his face until after he was cut. Are we talking? Is this a guy from Dark State? I don't know. But will that be a once in a lifetime like him versus Rock was? You know, it does get on my nerves about the once in a lifetime. But it's like, for business sense, I get it. You know, you want to capitalize on all the hype, and they had the rematch at WrestleMania 29, which to me was basically a carbon copy of what we saw at 28. I think it was a waste of a main event, truthfully. With hindsight being 2020, I think they should have won a triple threat match. CM Punk gets added, and it adds another level of a layer to the matchup because Punk was feuding with Cena and Punk had beef with Brock. So it's with Rock, excuse me. I just think that WrestleMania 29 match could have been cut altogether. But I do believe, yeah, this is going to be it. I don't think they're going to have another match between Randy and Cena. I don't envision Triple H and the creative as the kind of people who would, I guess, make a false advertisement, if that's the sense I want to say. Kane versus Cena, the 2012 Embrace the Hate was a decent feud. I think it had potential. I really do. But it's just, I think it's because we knew The Rock was next. So it kind of was that in between. It was a filler feud. But it did have potential. I heard once he retires in ring, he's going to be a manager. Who's that, Cena? John Cena as a manager? I don't think so. Any release WWE wrestlers you see coming back? I don't know. I don't see John Cena being a manager. I can't. But coming back, that's a great question, Muhammad. And we didn't get to talk about that. That would have been the topic for Sunday, but we didn't. We weren't able to go live that day. But so we saw a lot of releases. I think Dakota Kai certainly is someone that could come back. She already came back once. I don't see why she wouldn't. I think Dakota Kai for sure. I think Braun Strowman, I think, could end up coming back. Maybe not in a large capacity, but I could see him coming back as well. Aside from that, I don't know about Osborne. I don't think he comes back. Vinci, I don't think comes back. I think Dakota Kai and Strowman probably would be the two. If you had to pick a male and a female, I think those are two for sure. I would love Shotzi. I was a fan of Shotzi. I think she was growing on me. It sucks to see her go. Gigi Dolan as well. I was upset to see her. I think, if anything, Dakota Kai, maybe Cora Jade, because Cora Jade's still very young. I mean, she's like, what, 25, 24? Still very young, and obviously has a connection with Roxanne Perez and CM Punk. If she ever wanted to return, I feel like Cora Jade was another one. But again, if I had to pinpoint, Dakota Kai. Nice. I've been watching old Backlashes and seen him in the 06 one, the Fatal 4-Way with Orton and HBK. I forgot the fourth, but HBK sweet chinned him onto Orton for the pin. Yeah, it was Edge. Yeah, that Fatal 4-Way matchup with Edge, Randy, Shawn, and Cena, for my money's worth, I think it's my favorite Fatal 4-Way. There's so much star power there between the four men. All Hall of Famers, all have an argument to be the greatest of all time, I think, in terms of their accolades, in terms of their accomplishments, and their body of work. That Fatal 4-Way at Backlash 07 is an all-timer. I love the finish. Shawn hits the sweet chin music. I think it was one of those things where everybody had gotten their finish in. But then at the last moment, Shawn hits the sweet chin music, collapses due to fatigue, and Cena just happens to fall in the right place at the right time and gets the pinfall victory. And I love it. It was one of the first times I had ever seen that finish. Most recently, we saw it at Heatwave this past summer. Trick Williams had done it, and he had hit the trick shot on Ethan Page, who had got the victory in a very similar fashion, but it was the first time. I love it. I thought it was great. Released WWE wrestlers benefit from repackaging and switching brands and having managers and being sent to NXT. And I think what's most beneficial about this is, especially for the women, because TNA, I think, is very light on the women's division. They need to be rebuilding their women's division. We just saw Indy Hartwell make her debut in TNA, and because of that open relationship with TNA and WWE, it still leaves this open avenue for them to make their return to WWE. Look at a guy like Elijah, aka Elias, was released by the WWE, got picked up by TNA, and because of this partnership, he just recently made his return on NXT during the Battle Royal. So, although they are released from the WWE, they have that opportunity to go to TNA and have another run, if you will. Ken says my fatal four-way is the McMahon in every corner. Talk about star-studded. Mick Foley, The Big Show, The Rock, and Triple H. Again, every McMahon is in every corner, and you want to talk about star-studded? That's a big one. WrestleMania 16, the first time ever the heel walked out as champion in WrestleMania history. I'm happy AEW exists for release talent. I agree, John. My biggest thing is there's people out there who want to diminish the importance of AEW. I'm not a WWE stan or an AEW stan. I love pro wrestling, so I'm going to support pro wrestling when I can. So to see people bash AEW just simply for existing, I think that's the wrong way to go about it. 100% I agree with you. I am happy that it exists because it gives an opportunity to other men and women who need work, who are trying to pursue their dreams and their goals, whether it is as a pro wrestler, as a production manager, as a writer, as a videographer. Doesn't matter. It is opening another door for them to find work, and as well as a fan, being able to enjoy the work. I would have never seen a guy like Darby Allin or Kenny Omega, without AEW. Now, granted, there is New Japan Pro Wrestling, 100%, but I would only see clips of Kenny. I never really got to see a full match. I saw highlights of Kenny or whatever I can find on YouTube. But because of AEW, I have been exposed to so many other talent. Super grateful for it. Kansas, sorry to get off topic. No worries, man. That's what the stream's for. It's about what you guys want to talk about. But what's your thoughts on all the legends showing up on AEW, and why do you think the lawyer angle in the Hurt Syndicate? Oh, okay. So for the legends showing up in AEW, unfortunately, it feels very reminiscent of WCW, where the WWE is kind of steering away. They want to highlight new talent, whether they're young or just fresh faces. It gives the AEW two things. It gives those wrestlers an opportunity to extend their legacy. Look at a guy like Christian Cage, who I think has excelled in AEW. It gives them an extra layer to their legacy. But also for AEW, it allows them an opportunity to take advantage of the name value of guys like Adam Copeland, of guys like Christian Cage and Chris Jericho. And why not? Why wouldn't you want to use that as an opportunity to elevate your brand? So I'm fine with it. I do think they have to be selective of who they're pushing and how they want to push them, though, and make sure everybody has their role. I think the end game, you should want to put over your young talent. That's the point of the business. In order to keep the business moving forward, you got to go out on your back and give the new people that rub. And that's something, unfortunately, I don't see a lot with Adam Copeland. I love Edge, but this run for me hasn't been it. But I got like Christian Cage, thoroughly enjoying it. Chris Jericho, for the most part, I enjoy it, but there are times where I'm like, he needs a break, and I'm super happy he has a break now. Enjoy your time off, have fun with Fozzy, so when you come back, you're refreshed, rejuvenated, and we can get back to having fun. The lawyer. Oh, as for the lawyer thing in the Hurt Syndicate, I don't think that's gonna be. Off the top of my head, I don't think it's gonna be a deep angle. I think that might just be on the surface. I feel like it's an excuse for MJF and MVP to have this interaction where there are some logistics when it comes to a contract. Maybe there's something in place that is an incentive for MJF. I don't think it's going to be a long-term partnership if it does happen. I do think that it leaves room for some kind of a betrayal for MJF. I think that's the only thing I got for you at the moment. Love seeing Rhino then tonight. Zach Gowen getting a match tonight was nice. Isn't that crazy? I saw somewhere that Rhino has officially wrestled everywhere. AEW, WWE, WCW, ECW, TNA, Ring of Honor. He's been everywhere. And that's what I mean when it comes to these alternatives in pro wrestling. It extends their lifetime as a professional. And he still looked great, by the way. As for Zach Gowen, that's crazy too. I never would have thought that Zach Gowen would still be active. For those who don't know, or again, are too young to remember, Zach Gowen, famous for being a one legged wrestler in the WWE back in 2003. He had notable matches against Mr. McMahon as well as Roddy Piper. He was during the angle of the Mr. America angle back in 2003. And to see him still in action, I actually haven't seen the matchup just yet. I'll be catching it either tonight or tomorrow after I get out from work. But I did see that he was scheduled to have that matchup, and I think that's crazy. Good for Zach Gowen. Happy for him. He also wrestled in JCW. I mean, come on. There's just so much to keep up with. Thank you, Kent, for making sure we stay up to date and we stay informed because there's just so much content out there. That's why it's so important for these live streams, I think. You guys are my eyes and ears sometimes because I have people out here filling me in on LFG. Some people are watching MLW, and those are some things I either A, don't have access to, or unfortunately, there's not enough time in the day for me to be able to enjoy everything. So thanks to you guys for hooking it up and being my eyes and ears out there. But yeah, Zach Gowen. Again, if you're just joining us here on the live stream, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. I'm a fan of professional wrestling. We're talking about John Cena and his best title reigns, as well as other topics. These live streams are open to the public, whatever you guys want to talk about. Go ahead and feel free. Throw in a comment or a question down in the chat below. And if you enjoy these live streams, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Again, comment down below your thoughts and questions. And make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel to get other content such as our predictions video where I talk about every matchup for Backlash and share my deep dive for the event itself, as well as the other live streams. We also have other videos that I recently had talked about for Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, other topics like that. Recently did a ranking as well, a tier ranking of every Backlash poster. That one was a fun one. I enjoy going back and reminiscing about past events, and I feel like that's something I'll be doing more of. I also have been thinking about doing a reaction video for our members only, and that's going back and watching some of the early videos that I had posted because I just recently realized that it was the 3rd year anniversary. This week marks 3 years that we've been on YouTube. And obviously, there was a year in between where I wasn't posting. So, realistically, 2 years plus a 1 year gap. But going back and rewatching some of those early videos that I posted, giving my honest reactions, maybe a little bit of commentary and behind the scenes in terms of the approach that I had to those videos. I'm thinking about doing one of those. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. That would be, though, for a members exclusive video because one, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's kind of vulnerable to go back and watch some of your early stuff because I already know that I didn't have that confidence. I was basically faking it till I make it, right? Didn't have as much confidence in what I was saying back then. And again, the production wasn't the best, the camera quality, maybe not. We had a different microphone back then. So there was a lot of things that were different come 3 years ago. So I'm thinking about going back and rewatching some of those and giving my honest reaction to those. If you're interested in that, make sure you comment down below, or again, become a member. That way you have access to those type of videos. You have early access to our overall videos, as well as the posts and the polls as well. Hopefully everybody's doing well on a Thursday afternoon. Again, it is on May 8th. Who would have thought? So early already into the year, yet it feels so deep into the year of 2025. Backlash just around the corner. And then after that will be AEW Double or Nothing. And then after that, Worlds Collide, Money in the Bank. A lot of content coming out when it comes to the pay-per-views and PLEs in AEW and WWE. But again, go ahead and drop in the chat below, guys, some of your favorite John Cena moments or favorite matches. I'd love to get from your guys' input and see where you guys were at when the rise of John Cena had taken place. This is something that happened all the way back in 05, 20 years ago. Who would have thought? I mean, to go back 20 years, I was 7 years old and had just picked up. So, if we were to put it in perspective, today, maybe not to the day, but today, 20 years ago, I was a 7-year-old kid in 2nd grade who was probably listening to the John Cena My Time Is Now album that was recently released around that time. And to think 20 plus years later, he's a 17-time champion and we're here on YouTube talking about it. I would not have imagined. Younger version of me would be losing it, I think, if he would have known that, hey, you're going to go live, you're going to be talking to other pro wrestling fans and sharing your intake, your input, and also getting their input as well. Join in on the conversation, guys. On top of that, we have SmackDown coming up. Ken says, considering I grew up with him, I always seen this career of his happening. It's crazy. It really is crazy to put in perspective, though. Because even if you were keeping up with him and watching it, who would have thought that he'd be one of the biggest stars of all time? And not just for pro wrestling, but just in general, in Hollywood. Because of the whole Peacemaker, franchise. That's, again, another monster in itself. SmackDown's coming up too. Obviously this Friday Night SmackDown. And the lead up to Backlash. Mother's Day weekend as well. Shout out to all the moms there as well. We have Mother's Day on Sunday. And for our friends down south, Mexican Mother's Day, May 10th, also on this Saturday. So back-to-back Mother's Day, if anything. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, especially Mama Ramos out there. Also want to say thank you, as you guys see me reach over for my charger. Thank you to all those who had wished Mama Ramos a happy birthday. Her birthday was technically the 6th. But I want to thank you guys again for showing love and continuing to support, as always. So, thank you for the hearts in the chat. I see you guys. As you might hear, I do have the Warriors in the background here. They're currently down by 20 points. Unfortunately, it might be wraps for Golden State. They were doing well. They were doing really well. But I'm now looking at it, and yeah, that might be GG's. At least it's only game 2 out of 7 games. But still, would have loved to have seen them go up 2-0. Kent says, I remember seeing him at homecoming and he said, don't know why I'm here. They're talking about firing me. And I asked him if he had shown them his real self. And he said, no, only doing as asked. That is crazy, though, that story of John Cena nearly getting fired in 2002. He was very, again, for the lack of a better phrase, he was very bland as an early baby face. He just wore the trunks that had the colors of the hometown that he was in. We didn't see much of anything of John until the Halloween edition of SmackDown back in 2002, where he broke out in the Vanilla Ice costume and was freestyling and rapping. And this was very fresh off of 8 Mile and the rise of Eminem. So it would capitalize. It was all about what was going on in pop culture. But to see him rise above, essentially, and become who we have known him to become, the resilience of John Cena. So that's an awesome story, though. Hopefully everyone's doing well here on a Thursday evening, another edition of the J Area Wrestling Show. A lot to look forward to in the month of May. Recently, and this might be a little bit off topic, but that's what we do here on the stream sometimes. Recently, this past weekend, we had went to go see the Thunderbolts. I don't know if anybody out there are as big movie fans or Marvel movie fans as we are, but we recently saw the movie The Thunderbolts. No spoilers. I'm not about that business, but honestly, really enjoyed that movie. I think it's up there as one of my favorites especially in recent years, following Endgame. I'd have to say that one um, really exceeded my expectations. I wasn't expecting much of it, but a fun movie. If you enjoy Marvel, if you enjoy movies in general, I suggest you check it out. For those who don't know, one of the early incarnations of the channel was about film and about movies. So, on occasion, I will be sharing my opinions on films that are coming out or that I've seen. So, I've seen previews. It's supposed to be the best made to date. You know, I always look at those type of reviews where it's like, oh, the best Marvel movie of all time or the best Marvel movie in years. Like, they're very hyperbolic. They're very over exaggerated sometimes. But I do believe that it is one of their better movies in years. You know, excluding No Way Home, I think it's the best movie since Endgame, excluding No Way Home. And maybe that's recency bias, maybe because I just watched it and I'm still fresh off of emotion from it. But I think it delivered. Did this one deliver? I agree, Ken. I would have to say it delivered. Is it the best made to date? I don't know if that's an appropriate statement, but I do think it is the best one in a while. Like it's my opinion. And again, I don't want to overhype it, but in comparison to some of the other movies that have came out in recent years, I think the Thunderbolts is up there. There are like 36 Marvel movies, specifically the Marvel Cinematic Universe that revolves around the Avengers. There are 36 movies. Me personally, this Thunderbolts cracks my top 10. Like just a number 10, but it's in there. I think it's that good. I think that highly of it. I had a lot of fun, and I love the theme, the underlying message of the movie as well. I'm a big message guy. If a movie is able to connect with me on a deeper level, I'm in. Ken says the movie I want to see is Sinners, Thunderbolt, and Lilo and Stitch. Sinners has a lot of hype, man. Like my Twitter was nothing but Sinners. Like everyone was talking about it. Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld. Um, would I check it out? Maybe eventually. But I know there's a lot of hype and anticipation on that movie as well. Thunderbolts, I think, is a great movie. Lilo and Stitch, we want to check out as well. My family, we grew up on that original animated movie, so to see them go live action, I think it's a movie we're actually gonna go see. So, Lilo and Stitch for sure. I do kind of want to see the new Final Destination. I'm a big horror buff. You guys already know that. Aside from that, there's also the new Karate Kid that I want to check out. I see. Wanted. So Queen of the. So I didn't see Queen of the Ring, but it's one I want to watch. I'm waiting for Queen of the Ring to get released like on streaming. I'm assuming it's gonna be on Max. Um, Queen of the Ring is definitely one that I want to see. The story of Mildred Bergs, also, oh, it's gonna kill me. I don't remember her name, Emily something. She was the one of the actresses on Arrow with Stephen Amell. Emily Richards, Ricards. It's gonna kill me. I'm sorry, but she was on the show Arrow, and she's in that movie. But Queen of the Ring for sure. Legends looks nice. Yeah, I want to see it, man. The new Karate Kid. I grew up a big fan of Karate Kid because of my dad. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find it real quick. Here it is. Karate Kid. Just the first three. And then once Cobra Kai came out, my dad and I got hooked on that show. So I'm excited to see how it comes out. Heard that Cornette is in Queen of the Ring. Yeah, so Jim Cornette, he plays the commissioner of the NWA. He's like a real life person. He portrayed, well, to be fair, it's a true story. But yeah, so he's the I drew a blink there. He's the commissioner. What's your thoughts on the WWE's? Oh yeah, the Writers reality show. I don't want to see writers giving Gunther a script. Sir Robert, that's an interesting question here, and that's one I wasn't really anticipating. It's a hit and miss for me. I like seeing the behind the scenes stuff. I like being able to peel the curtain back and see the inner workings of the business. But I do think in this day and age, I feel like we're getting a lot of it now. It was more interesting when it was taboo, when it was, oh, we shouldn't be seeing this. And now it's like with LFG and now this new reality show about the rioters. It's like we're completely behind the curtain now. I do think there are certain things that should be left unshown. I don't think we should be seeing everything, because then there's no really magic. It's like going to Disneyland and seeing the characters, get dressed and put the costumes on, and it kind of takes away from the magic for me personally. Now, if it was every now and then, okay, fine, but to get a whole show on that, I will be watching it. I will be watching it, but I am a little hesitant because I'm like, we don't need to know. We don't need to know everything. There should be some level of suspension of belief for what they do. And for the analogy of not wanting to see Gunther with a script, it is tough. It is tough because sometimes you want to believe what's real and what isn't. And we know it's an age old question like, oh, is it fake? Like, obviously it's scripted. It makes it impossible to hate a heel. It really does. There are no heels anymore. There are no heels anymore. The only heel I can think of is like MJF because he can find ways to really get under people's skin and create this tension between he and the audience. But aside from that, there are no really heels because even Gunther, who is supposed to be one of the top heels in the company, he has such great work rate. He has such a great ring general that it's hard not to respect and cheer him for his work. Stephanie's Places is one I want to see, but I ain't got streaming services right now, and my rent goes up $300 next month. So it'd be a bit before I can get streaming services. I'm with you, Ken. Stephanie's Places is one I want to watch as well, but I don't have ESPN Plus. Mostly for the Bloodline and the CM Punk episodes, I would love to see it. But that one's fine because I'm okay with getting to know the wrestlers because at the end of the day, it is entertainment. So to see that, that's cool. I think it's because of the writers. Like that's another depth to it all. But Stephanie's Places is one I would like to see. LFG is cool, from what I've seen. You know what? Who cares? I get 10 a month. Free memberships. I get 10 free memberships a month. And we give away 5. I'm in a generous mood. Let's give away the other 5. I'm going to give away the other 5 here for the memberships. Ken says, how bad do you think Gunther's going to hurt Pat McAfee? I will answer that in a second here, buddy. Dion, WL, welcome back to the Main Event Mafia. FaZe, Ryan Feeds, welcome to the Main Event Mafia. P-Dubs is back. Jeffrey Lawson, Daniel Hernandez, all a part of the Main Event Mafia where you're going to get access to exclusive videos, early access to overall videos, as well as membership shoutouts. Kent, how bad do I think Gunther's going to hurt McAfee? I think really bad. In fact, I hope he puts him out of commission for a minute there. I have nothing against Pat McAfee. He's entertaining for what his role is in the company. And if you want a better explanation of my prediction, check out the prediction video that I uploaded earlier on Backlash. But I do think this is how the match is going to go out. Gunther's going to dominate. Gunther's going to dominate Pat McAfee early on. I'm talking chops. I'm talking vicious sleeper holds. I'm talking everything under the sun. Pat McAfee's chest is going to be looking like red, uncooked hamburger meat by the end of it all. But we're going to see a moment where Pat McAfee is going to catch Gunther by surprise. And he's going to start inflicting a little bit of offense on Gunther. And just when you start to believe that, oh, wait a minute, Pat McAfee got a shot, we're going to get a near fall. And the crowd's going to be into it. They're going to think, whoa, was Pat McAfee going to actually beat Gunther? But then reality's going to come crashing down. Gunther's going to get the upper hand. He's going to put Pat McAfee to sleep and win the matchup. If they have this match, I've talked about it, I'm getting hot already. If they have this match go over 10 minutes, I'm going to feel a type of way. Pat McAfee is an all-pro NFL punter. Take nothing away from him. But Gunther is the ring general. He's a world champion. He's one of the best to do it in the WWE and in pro wrestling in general. If he is taking over 10 minutes to take over Pat McAfee, I'm going to feel the type of way. I am going to feel the type of way. It should not be more than 10 minutes. It should not be more than 10 minutes. And if they even think, I don't think it's going to happen, but if they even think of having Pat McAfee go over Gunther, oh my God. I don't even, I can't even say I'm going to protest because I'm still going to watch the show. But if they have Gunther lose, I might crash out. Dion, what's going after saying that then I see Dion's name. Mike, I hope everything is well. I'm doing well, Dion. Appreciate you, man. Love to see you back in the chat. Welcome to the Main Event Mafia once again, buddy. Glad to have you back. Ken says when he get belt back from Uso, I don't think he gets the belt back from Uso. He'll get the belt back, but I don't think he's gonna be the one to beat Jay. I think whoever wins Money in the Bank, they beat Jay. Dion says this match should not be competitive whatsoever. If so, they're doing a huge disservice to the ring general, and it would be also disrespectful to him. I'm a Gunther fan. Dion, number one, I don't even disagree with you, 100%. But I don't even think you need to be a Gunther fan. It is disrespectful. It's the fine line between a celebrity matchup, where here's a guy who's not a part of the business regularly. Pat McAfee has had good matches in the past, but it's like I play basketball occasionally for fun because I'm a fan. That's like me being in a matchup, a one-on-one matchup against someone like a Steph Curry. It should not take Stephen Curry a long time to beat me. He's Stephen Curry. I can play basketball, not on that level. God, not on that level. So it would be a disservice to not only Stephen Curry, but to the name and game of basketball if he needs to take more time to beat me. That's the way I look at it. It should not be competitive. Give Pat McAfee his moment. Give him that little moment of suspension of disbelief, and the crowd becomes invested, and they think there's a shot. But immediately, just boom, just take him out. Take him out. I also think Gunther needs this heat. He lost the championship to Jey Uso by tapping out. I need him to destroy Pat McAfee and reestablish himself as this vicious heel. He needs to be relentless. He needs to be without remorse. Because after losing to Jay, we need to find another reason why to hate Gunther. Or what's his next mission. I'm telling you, if this match goes over 10 minutes, I'm going to be pissed. Logan Paul's a true heel. He's a natural. I agree, Sir Robert. He's a natural. Even on the bad wheel he has right now. Wait. Are we talking about Gunther? I'm actually rooting for this guy to be on top. He is dominant. Have someone just as dominant to knock him off his throne. That's fine. That's all I'm saying. But what do you think about Goldberg or Steiner rumors when it comes to this match? With Gunther? I haven't heard Steiner rumors. But the Goldberg? I've said I'm done with Goldberg. I don't need to see another Goldberg match. I personally don't. However, if Goldberg faces Gunther, I'm not mad because there's a story there. You know, we saw the little interaction last year at Bad Blood. So I wouldn't be mad at it at all. But again, Goldberg's out of his prime. Gunther's still is still in his prime. Should not go over 10 minutes. It shouldn't. You said you couldn't bet Curry, but he's got a bet. Okay. My bad, Ken. I thought we were still talking about WWE. Yes, even with the bad wheel, Stephen Curry, 100%. 100%. Thank you for clarifying that, Kent. And yeah, even on that bad wheel, he would destroy me. Rusev versus Gunther? Yes, please. Absolutely. Rusev versus Gunther? I would gladly take that. I feel like what Gunther has been these last couple years, hear me out. I think Rusev could have been that. if they pushed him appropriately. Remember him on the tank at WrestleMania 31? Rusev versus Gunther. I'm all for. I would love to see that. Scott Steiner was in talks with Pat McAfee on his show, supposedly, if he needs some help or pointers leading up to this match. I missed that. I actually didn't see that interview. I don't think it would result in him making an appearance, though. But, hey, anything can happen in pro wrestling, right? If Pat puts on a great showing, would it be like the Knicks being up on the Celtics right now? Well, that's a good comparison, Kent. I did not think the Knicks were going to go up 2-0. But the Celtics have choked it away. And I can't see Gunther choking it away. The current reigning defending NBA champions are down 0-2 to the New York Knicks. Who would have thought? The New York Knicks. Not me. But if Pat puts on a great showing, would it be like the Knicks? I think if Pat puts on a great showing, this is how I envision it happening. I'm a big historian when it comes to the NBA. For those who remember, there was a guy named Allen Iverson. The answer. A legend in Philadelphia. Former 76er, MVP. There was a playoff run in 2001 where Allen Iverson took the Philadelphia 76ers, led them to the NBA Finals. This is a team that had guys on his team like Eric Snow, Dikembe Mutombo. Not really a lot of big names on that team. But he managed to go into LA against the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, led by head coach Phil Jackson. There was also other utility players like Rick Fox, like Derek Fisher, etc., etc. Nobody thought that Allen Iverson and these Philadelphia 76ers would defeat the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. They had already won a championship the year prior by beating the Indiana Pacers. Except Allen Iverson takes over and they beat the Lakers. And it results in this iconic moment where he hits a step back over Tyronn Lue and then immediately steps over him. And for a moment there, you thought, these guys have a shot. They could beat them. And then reality set in, and the Lakers just dominated the rest of the series, and Shaq and Kobe won back-to-back championships. And AI had a very valiant effort in trying to win that championship, but ultimately we knew he wasn't going to win. He wasn't. Great showing in that one game, but he wasn't going to win. What do you think about all the WWE releases, and did the WWE fumble the ball with either one? 15, sheesh. There's so many of them. I look at people like a Dakota Kai, who I thought had a lot of promise, and it looked like they were going to be pushing her for a moment there, and they didn't. Braun Strowman, I'm not too mad at. I mean, it was very limited what he was doing. I did like his stuff, though, with Jacob Fatu and Bronson Reed, so that one caught me off guard. But there were some people who were like Cora Jade. Her getting released caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that, especially given her time with Roxanne Perez and being a perennial feature on NXT. It sucks. I do think people like Shotzi and Dakota Kai were two people that the ball was dropped on. His best friend passed away in his game, left him, and I'm talking about AI the answer. AI would dominate today's soft NBA. Allen Iverson's a legend, bro. Love AI. Braun's released because his salary was too high, but you talk about leaving Zoe Starks by herself and Jakara Jackson. Really, it was half and half NXT in the main shows. Also, there were talks of a stable from AEW coming to WWE and teaming with Karrion Kross. Oh, the Righteous. Yeah, I saw that there's talks about the Righteous and some kind of collaboration with Karrion Kross. I don't think Karrion Kross needs a stable. We saw what happened with the Final Testament. I think he should just stick with Scarlett and let's try to go back to that early Karrion Kross in NXT when he won the championship. I think a lot of people are very high on Karrion Kross right now. He has a wave of momentum that he hadn't had for a while. I saw somewhere that he's like third in merch sales. So I think it would behoove the WWE to take advantage of that and push Karrion Kross. I think he's a phenomenal talent. He's only been improving as well. Dakota's not going to be out of a job for long. I don't think so either. I could see her definitely joining TNA. I can definitely see that. And again, it's like I said at the top of the stream, I feel like the partnership with TNA and WWE is a beneficial one, because even for those who were released by the WWE, having that relationship with TNA still opens up a pipeline for them to make their return. So even if they're not with the WWE right now, if they're with TNA, they still have that opportunity to appear in WWE. I mean, look at Ash by Elegance, look at Elijah, JDC, the Hardys. Like, there's so many guys and girls who have been released but are still making appearances because of that partnership with TNA. So Dakota will be fine. I would have loved to have seen more usage of her. Unfortunately, injuries got in the way of that, and just a stacked women's roster got in the way of that. But wherever she goes, I think she'll be fine. We're rooting for Dakota Kai for sure. We're going to keep going for a couple more minutes here, guys. Make sure to drop your questions and comments in the chat below as we start to close down the live stream again. It's a Thursday evening here, at least in the West Coast where I'm from, talking about pro wrestling. Seriously, do you like the Young Bucks? Sir Robert, I want to say I do. But I will say I liked them a lot more in the past. For me, the Young Bucks began to fall off once, Brawl Out happened. After Brawl Out, there was like this shift in the Young Bucks. And I want to say it's because these guys are workers and they want to take the online perception of the CM Punk situation and they want to turn themselves into heels. I get that. But since then, just something feels off with me when it comes to the Young Bucks. I'm fine with the Young Bucks. I think they're great talent. But I will say I was much more of a bigger fans of theirs from Ring of Honor through New Japan through the early years of AEW. As of late, character-wise, I don't care for their characters. I don't. In ring-wise, they're fine. I like the Young Bucks in ring-wise. But character-wise, I'm not as invested. Especially seeing what they've done with them and Okada. I think what's happening with Okada is ridiculous. He's someone that I was looking forward to watching on AEW because, again, I didn't have access to New Japan. I would watch the highlights. I would watch YouTube. I would watch clips. So when I heard that he's coming to AEW, I'm like, this is great. But he seems like he's just another guy. And he's been the Continental Champion for the better part of the year. And I feel like, so what? I don't feel any type of significance with him. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. But when it comes to the Bucks and Okada, I just feel like there's more we could be doing. CM says he wants to fight Gunther, Dominic, Jacob. He said there could be magic there, which I think he's right if WWE doesn't fumble the ball. Oh my God, yeah. Punk with Gunther, Dominic, and Jacob, absolutely. When you think Punk versus Cena happens, I'm also thinking Cross wins Money in the Bank. I'm not against it, but I do think a guy like LA Knight would be nice to see him win it, but I wouldn't be against Karrion Kross. Who do you got winning the steel cage match between Joe and Mox? I got Mox winning. I don't think they're having a title change on TV. Maybe I'm wrong. But no, I don't think Joe wins. I think Mox wins. When do I think Punk is happening? Money in the Bank would be pretty cool as a callback to 2011. SummerSlam would be a great show, but I feel like Punk versus Roman is the move at SummerSlam. So to answer your question, either SummerSlam or Money in the Bank. Cena and Punk, I say sometime in September after SummerSlam. Maybe it gets closer to the end and becomes reminiscent of when Punk threatened to leave with the championship, because that's what Cena's doing. He's threatening to leave with the championship. So maybe they flip it on its head and they have Cena versus Punk. I'll get to the Tony Khan question in a moment here, Robert. I want to put a bow on the WWE. Does Cody return at Backlash? There are rumors that he is definitely a shoe-in. I don't think it's a shoe-in. I think there's like a 60% chance it happens. I would vote more yes than no, but it's all about where we go with it. And if he comes back, it's going to be for Cena. Is it too soon? Because if he comes back and just loses again, it kind of hurts him. I'm gonna say 60% he comes back. Lastly, your thoughts on Tony Khan. I respect Tony Khan for having the tenacity and just the passion for pro wrestling and creating AEW and helping develop it as well, as a viable contender for other athletes. Maybe not a real competitor per se, but certainly a viable destination for other pro wrestling, for pro wrestlers. But I do think he needs to. There's certain things I would change in AEW. One, I would have them run smaller venues. I don't like the optics of seeing a near empty arena. If you look at TNA, TNA doesn't have big stadiums or big arenas. They know what they're filling, and even if you're filling up an arena of 3,000 people, it at least looks good when it's full. Versus having an arena of 20,000 people and only having 5,000 in the arena, it doesn't look good. I would run smaller arenas. I would also have a more focus on the transitions between matches. I feel like there's a lot of times where we go match, 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 and that's like no time for us to digest what we just saw. I want to see a little bit more packages. I want to see a little bit more story leading throughout the night. I do think that sometimes these pay per views, match, 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 it's like, Jesus, I love wrestling. I want to see more wrestling. But sometimes it's nice to give us a break and just digest what we just saw. Tony Khan as well. There are some times where I feel like he comes off as like a child, and I'm not gonna knock him for that because I mean, hey, we all have that inner child in us as well as being wrestling fans. But sometimes it comes off as cringe, and I can't fault him for being himself. But I do think maybe what's best for Tony is to take himself away from the TV aspect and still just run it from the back. He doesn't have to be always on TV. That's just me. I feel Cena will not end his tour as a heel. I don't think so either. I agree with you, Dion. I think we're going to see something like Return of the Jedi, where at the end Cena sees the better ways and ends as a babyface. I agree. Something happens and Cena turns face. It seems weird to finish your career a bad guy when you were the face. On the money. Any last second Backlash predictions besides Fatu? I think that and the Gunther match is set. Cena might shake his opponent's hand, turning him face. Yeah. So if you haven't seen my predictions video, please check it out. That's going to give you more in depth of like who I'm picking for every matchup. But for those people in the chat right now, I'll just tell you, I think Becky Lynch wins the Intercontinental Championship. I think Jacob Fatu is going to retain. I think Dominic loses against Penta. I think Pat McAfee gets destroyed by Gunther. I think Randy loses to John. If you want a more in-depth prediction, check out the video now available on the channel. Cena might shake. Yeah, I think Cena goes out as a babyface. I do think the handshake is perfect. I wouldn't change that. Him having one last match. Maybe his last match is against someone like Cody. I still think Cody's the guy. Cody beats him for the championship. We could see a babyface turn there. Maybe he has a last matchup against a guy like Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes and wants to put over the next generation and therefore has a handshake that puts him over as a babyface. I think that's certainly a possibility. Okay, guys. Any last second comments or questions? Here we go. We're going to be up for another maybe a minute or two. I want to see some of those reactions to the predictions and hear from you guys. I think Lyra retains, I think Dom retains, and I think Cena retains the Night of Retentions. There's always one, man. There's always at least one that changes hands, though, I think. Is Pat McAfee match where outside interference can happen? As far as I know, it's just a standard one-on-one matchup. I don't think there's any no DQ or nothing like that. I think it's just a straight-up match. Like WrestleMania 18, Rock versus Hogan, and Hogan turns face. It's perfect. No notes. I think that's, yes, I think you're right on the money. I could see it happening that way. Absolutely. I appreciate you, Dion. Dion says, "Good night, Jose. I was late, but you're awesome, my guy." Hey, you're awesome, my guy. Welcome back to the Main Event Mafia. I appreciate the support and thank you for tuning out for this live stream again. Check out the video that we have up this week, the Backlash video, as well as the ranking of the Backlash posters. I would love to see your guys' input from those as well. Comment down below any other topics you want to hear us cover, as well as make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. You guys already know all the gist when it comes to the YouTube talk. I appreciate you guys. Everybody have a great night. I see right here, J May says Pat and Gunther's going to be crazy. It better be a massacre. I told you guys, I don't want to see it go longer than 10 minutes. Gunther wins, less than 10 minutes. Send Pat McAfee back to the commentary table. Please, for the love of God. Kent, have a good one, my friend. Hopefully your leg feels better. Thank you again for joining us on the live stream. Can't wait to see you guys again this weekend. Backlash. Make sure you tune in. We'll discuss the fallout of Backlash as well as the reaction to the premium live event this upcoming week. And everybody, have a great weekend. Have a great night. We'll see you guys then. Appreciate you all. Nothing but love. Everyone stay cool. Stay safe.